What if a treasure that could reshape a nation was buried under one of the world's most famous islands? Right now, one of the biggest mining companies on Earth is on a high-stakes hunt for that legendary prize in Jamaica, a Tier 1 gold deposit. This is a golden gamble of epic proportions, one that will either end in a massive failure or change Jamaica's destiny forever. When you think of Jamaica, you probably picture white sand beaches, reggae music, and world-class coffee. It's an image carefully curated for millions of tourists. But beneath that postcard-perfect surface is a more complex reality. Jamaica is a nation of nearly 3 million people dealing with challenges like low productivity and an economy that leans heavily on tourism. It's a country that's made incredible strides with its public finances, but true, transformative growth feels just out of reach. For decades, the story of Jamaica's resources was written in red dirt. The bauxite industry, which provides the raw material for aluminum, has been a cornerstone of the economy. But lately, it's been facing headwinds, with production shrinking. For a nation trying to secure its future, the old playbook just isn't enough anymore. Jamaica needs a new story, a golden one. Enter the Tier 1 gold and copper deposit. In the mining world, this is the ultimate prize. We're not talking about a few specks of gold. A Tier 1 asset is a mine that's massive, runs for a long time, and is cheap to operate. It's the kind of discovery that can single-handedly change a company's fortunes and a nation's future. It's the Holy Grail, capable of producing hundreds of thousands of ounces of gold and huge amounts of copper year after year for decades. This isn't some fantasy. Just across the Caribbean Sea in the Dominican Republic is a perfect example. The Pueblo Viejo mine. Operated by Barrick Gold, it's one of the largest gold mines in the world, a modern marvel of engineering and an economic powerhouse for the Dominican Republic. And the geology that hosts that colossal treasure is remarkably similar to the ancient rocks that form the backbone of Jamaica. This tantalizing geological connection hasn't gone unnoticed. For years, it was a whisper among geologists, a geological what-if. But now, that whisper has become a roar, because the company that runs Pueblo Viejo has arrived in Jamaica, and they're not here for a vacation. Barrick Gold is the second-largest gold mining company on the planet. They're a titan of the industry, a global behemoth with operations on multiple continents. For a company this big, the hunt for new resources is relentless. A mining giant is always hungry, needing to find the next generation of great mines to replace the ones being depleted. And in their search for the next world-class discovery, their sights have landed squarely on this island. They've signed a huge partnership with a local company, Geophysx Jamaica, giving them access to an enormous land package of roughly 4,000 square kilometers. This isn't just some casual survey, it's a calculated, high-stakes gamble. Barrick is betting that somewhere in the rugged, mountainous interior of Jamaica lies a deposit that's been overlooked for centuries. A treasure that could diversify Jamaica's economy, moving it away from its dependence on tourism and the volatile bauxite market. The Jamaican government, knowing exactly what's at stake, has been supportive, hoping a discovery can be used for sustainable development and to reduce poverty. With gold prices flirting with historic highs and copper demand surging thanks to the global energy transition and the AI boom, the timing for this gamble couldn't be more perfect. So, that's the setup. A nation seeking a game-changing opportunity, a global giant hunting its next mega mine, and a geological theory that promises untold riches. But the path to a Tier 1 discovery is almost never a straight line. It's loaded with immense and often unbeatable challenges. The dream of a Jamaican gold rush is powerful, but the reality of making it happen is a brutal test of science, money, and political will. The journey from a geological theory to a working mine is a gauntlet of obstacles, and any one of them can turn a billion-dollar dream into a worthless hole in the ground.
First, there's the geological puzzle. If a world-class deposit is really here, why hasn't anyone found it? Jamaica's mining history goes back centuries, but it has always focused on easier-to-reach resources. The kind of treasure Barrick is looking for, a porphyry deposit, is a completely different beast. These deposits are formed deep within the Earth's crust and are often hidden, their secrets locked miles underground. Uncovering them is like geological forensics. This is where Barrick's local partner, Geophysx, comes in. For the last 6 years, they've been running the most comprehensive mineral exploration campaign in the nation's history. They've flown high-tech geophysical surveys, collected over 30,000 geochemical samples, and built a dataset so compelling it convinced a giant like Barrick to make a move. They are essentially the treasure mappers for this underground hunt. And they're not alone. Other companies, like the junior explorer C3 Metals, are also hunting. C3 has been drilling in an area called Bellis Gate, and their early findings are tantalizing. They've hit long stretches of copper and gold mineralization, including one that was nearly 400 meters long. These aren't Tier 1 discoveries yet, but they're critical clues. They're the geological smoke that suggests a much bigger fire might be burning deeper in the system. C3 has identified over a dozen porphyry prospects and dozens more epithermal vein systems, all good signs. In fact, their work is so promising that another mining giant, Freeport-McMoRan, has signed an earn-in agreement to pour up to $75 million into exploring Bellis Gate. The fact that two of the world's mining titans, Barrick and Freeport, are now investing heavily in Jamaica signals that something big could be on the horizon. But geology is just the first hurdle. The second is the ghost of the past. Around the world, the history of large-scale mining in smaller nations is checkered, often scarred by controversy, exploitation, and broken promises. Winning a social license, the trust of local communities and the government, is just as crucial as finding gold. Barrick has publicly committed to responsible exploration and partnering with the government for the country's benefit. But that means navigating a complex political landscape. Governments change, and so can the laws and taxes that govern mining. A project that's profitable one day can be killed the next by a policy change. And that brings us to the third mountain to climb, the staggering cost. Modern mineral exploration is one of the most expensive and risky ventures on Earth. We're talking about a campaign that needs specialized drills that can cost tens of thousands of dollars a day to run. It requires teams of geologists, geophysicists, and engineers. It means building roads into remote, rugged terrain. And all this money is spent before anyone knows if there's a single ounce of economically recoverable gold. It's a massive, front-loaded bet. If they do hit the jackpot, the investment needed will skyrocket. It would mean building a mine, a processing plant, and maybe even new power plants and port infrastructure. This is a multi-billion-dollar project, an investment that would dwarf anything Jamaica has seen in its mining sector. Finally, there's the unavoidable environmental question. Jamaica is an island defined by its stunning natural beauty. Large-scale open-pit mining, the most likely method for a huge porphyry deposit, fundamentally changes the landscape. It involves moving millions of tons of rock and using vast amounts of water. For a country whose brand is so tied to its pristine environment, this is maybe the most delicate balancing act of all. Finding the gold is hard. Convincing a nation that the benefits of digging it up outweigh the environmental costs can be even harder. These four challenges, geological uncertainty, political risk, financial cost, and environmental impact, form a great wall standing between today's hunt and a golden future. The odds are stacked against success. Most exploration projects, even promising ones, fail. But the potential prize is so enormous that for both Barrick and Jamaica, it's a gamble they're willing to take. This isn't a story about something that might happen one day. It's happening right now. Across the central highlands of Jamaica, the hunt is on. The quiet work of collecting soil samples and mapping rocks is giving way to the unmistakable sound of the drill. The timeline is speeding up. Barrick has said it plans to start drilling by the end of 2025. Its partner, Geophysx, is finishing the groundwork to pinpoint the best targets. Meanwhile, C3 Metals has already started its 2025 drilling program at Bellis Gate, aiming to test multiple targets along an 18-kilometer stretch. They plan to drill a series of deep holes to see if they need to go even deeper, chasing the system to its core. Assay results, the chemical readouts that reveal the gold and copper content, are expected to start flowing in during the third and fourth quarters of 2025. Every core sample pulled from the ground is a new piece of the puzzle, a potential confirmation of the theory. The island is entering a news-heavy period, where any press release could hold the key to its future. This is the tipping point. The moment where years of painstaking geological work and high-stakes investment meet the unforgiving reality of the rock. From here, the story can only go one of two ways. The first path leads to a golden future, a Jamaica transformed. Imagine a scenario where the drills hit not just mineralization, but a truly world-class ore body, a deposit with millions of ounces of gold and millions of tons of copper. The announcement would send shockwaves through the mining industry and global financial markets. Jamaica would instantly be recategorized, shifting from a bauxite and tourism economy to a globally significant copper-gold region. The influx of foreign investment would be staggering. The construction phase alone would create thousands of jobs, but the real impact would be in the long-term, high-paying jobs a modern mine provides. This isn't just about manual labor. It's about training a generation of Jamaican engineers, geologists, and data scientists. The ripple effect would be immense, creating new business for local suppliers and a massive new revenue stream for the government through taxes and royalties, funds that could be invested in education, healthcare, and infrastructure for decades. With copper prices forecast to remain strong, potentially pushing past $10,000 per ton, and gold holding at historically high levels, the economic engine of such a mine would be colossal. This is the vision that fuels the gamble. But there is another, far more common path, one that ends in disappointment. This is the second possible future, the colossal failure. In this scenario, the drills turn for months. The core samples go to the lab. The results come back and they show nothing. Or more likely, they show hints of gold and copper, but not enough to be economically viable. The grade is too low, the deposit too small. The geological smoke never leads to a fire. For Barrick and Freeport, it would be a costly write-off. Millions of dollars down the drain. It would be a blow, but for multi-billion-dollar companies, it's a risk they can absorb. They'd pack up and move on to the next geological frontier. For Jamaica, though, the impact would be more profound. It would be the death of a dream. The hopes for economic transformation, for thousands of high-paying jobs, for a new pillar of the economy, all of it would evaporate. The news would barely make a ripple internationally, just another failed exploration play. But on the island, it would be a story of dashed hopes and a return to the way things were. The golden gamble would be over and the house would have won. Con companies are betting their fortunes. The government is betting its economic strategy. And the people of Jamaica are watching, waiting to see which of the two futures will be pulled from the ground. Will the rock reveal a treasure that launches a new golden age for the nation? Or will it remain just rock, a silent testament to a gamble that didn't pay off? The drill bits are turning, and with every foot they dig, Jamaica's future hangs in the balance. Is this a risk worth taking? A necessary gamble for a shot at a prosperous future, or a dangerous deal with potentially irreversible consequences? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Is this Jamaica's golden ticket, or a disaster waiting to happen? Right now, deep in the mountains of Jamaica, the future is being drilled, 1 meter at a time. This is more than a corporate venture. It's a national bet of historic proportions. It pits the promise of unprecedented prosperity against the high probability of failure and the undeniable risks to a precious environment.